and welcome to Forum for a Better Understanding. It's a real privilege to be back again at this table, sharing around a theme that we have never ever covered in any of our 312 programs on the Forum. We have a panel today and next week reflecting back on the contributions of Bishop John Steinbock to interfaith dialogue. It has been a unique gift that Bishop gave not only to the Roman Catholic Diocese, but to the whole Valley, his commitment to ecumenical and interfaith relations. Around this table, we have three guests who are going to share their own personal experiences and how it is that they have benefited from and enjoyed meeting and collaborating with Bishop John on different occasions. My first guest to my left is the Imam Sayyid Ali Ghazvini, who is the spiritual leader of the Islamic Cultural Center here in Fresno. In the middle of our table is Father Arshen of Arshen, who is the pastor of the St. Paul Armenian Orthodox Church and a member of the KNXT Advisory Board, handpicked by Bishop for that position. And across from me is Reverend Bryan Jessup, who is the minister and spiritual leader of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno and the co-creator of this very program that we are now in its 313th episode. Thank you, Bryan, so much. I wonder if we could begin by having a brief reflection from each one of you, one thing that you think Bishop did touch you, impress you, fascinate you, intrigue you, inspire you in one moment over these 19 years that he has been our spiritual leader. Imam, is there one moment you want to pick?
I would like first to offer condolences on the departure of a sincere friend, an ally, and a brother to the Muslim community. Condolences to you, to all the Catholics of the Valley and everywhere. I got to meet the late Bishop, I think 2005 or 2006, and I was amazed by his level of knowledge about everything and also about the Quran. So when I first met him, he quoted many verses of the Quran, and it was really amazing for me, especially a verse that say, if you want to share what you love and what you value. You know, sometimes we share with something we don't need. You know, This is an extra shirt I will give. But to share what you love and you value, that's what the Quran says, and that's the message of the Quran. And on different occasions here we kept exchanging personal letters, and I was really amazed of his level of knowledge about different aspects of different religions and also about social life and political life, economic life in the Valley also. So
I am so glad, and you do have some of these letters, and we'll be talking later some particulars about his outreach, particularly to the Islamic community. Father Arshen, tell us if it's one moment or a general impression of Bishop John.
Jim, I met the bishop a few months after I was in Fresno on a formal occasion. And after that, our relationship grew. And I had always admired his outgoing personality. But the most important that I would like to actually reflect upon is that he was able to reach out both to ethnic and religious communities in the Valley without compromising his commitment to his own faith.
Oh, yeah.
As a Catholic bishop, church person, and I believe he was so good in his outreach to other communities that reflected upon his own commitment of faith, and he never compromised his faith, but he always upheld the value in others. And that was a great ability. He was present to our community on many occasions. When our Catholicos visited the Valley twice, he was there. and they exchanged personal greetings with one another. But the one that will always remain with me, and I believe with the Armenian community, is when just last year he reshuffled his entire schedule to be there on April 24th, and his homily was absolutely marvelous. He connected to the pain that the community felt on that issue, and he reached out and brought us a step of healing that I'm very grateful, and I will remember him for that.
Thank you, Father Arshen. Bryan, your connection, how would you like to show your own interest, because you did have a real affection for Bishop John?
I certainly did. The bishop, from my perspective, embodied so well the Spirit of Christ. He was unconditionally loving toward people. I really appreciate what Father Arshen said about he was always very definitely Roman Catholic, but that love was all-encompassing, and he would take hard stands against the flow of society on issues like the humanity of immigrants. He was marvelous on that, and on the inhumanity of our economic system that leaves so many people out, that it is, we call ourselves, he said in one place, a Christian nation, but our behavior is so un-Christ-like in the way we respect people and offer people work and opportunities to live. His pastoral letters, when he read them on KNXT, I would tune in, and I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and that's where I am, and that's where I will be. But I would say I don't have to translate that at all. That is absolute love that he's coming from very courageously. And I was so impressed. Before the Iraq War started, the bishop came out very strongly and said, this war does not measure up to Catholic just war theory. It was very courageous, made him unpopular, but he consistently was a man of love and peace, and he embodied it. So I was totally impressed with him at all times.
Thank you so much, all three of you. What I'd like to do now is play one of those pastoral messages. It's the one from May of 2010, in which Bishop very beautifully reflected on the bonds between the Roman Catholic and the Armenian Orthodox communities here in the Valley and in the world. Let's roll that clip of Bishop from May of 2010.
The following is a pastoral message from Bishop John T. Steinbock, Bishop of the Diocese of Fresno.
My dear people of God, I was invited to give the sermon at St. Paul's Armenian Apostolic Church in Fresno on the occasion of the celebration of the Armenian Genocide. This was on April 24th, the day when the genocide began in 1915 and lasted till 1923. Some 1.5 million Armenians died during this time. It is a travesty that will live on in the collective memory of our Armenian brothers and sisters. This was both ethnic cleansing and religious persecution. We have a great blessing of having a great number of Armenians living here in the Central Valley who have contributed greatly to our life and culture through the years. We are not in union, but we have great respect for one another. The Armenian Apostolic Church, as other Eastern Orthodox churches, are not in union with the Roman Catholic Church, but have much in common with us. There is much more that unites us than separates us, and many of the reasons for that separation are the historical, political, and cultural separation of the East and West, dating back many centuries ago, and culminating in a major separation of the Eastern and Western churches in 1054. The Armenian Apostolic Church was actually the first proclaimed Christian nation in the year 301, even before the Roman Emperor Constantine accepted the Catholic faith. Their bishops share with us succession from the apostles, We have in common sacramental priesthood, belief in the Holy Trinity and the divinity of Jesus, the 7 sacraments, our major celebration of the major feasts in the Divine Liturgy, a strong respect for life, and love and devotion to our Blessed Mother. Pope John Paul II met a number of times with the Armenian popes. In 2001, on the occasion of the 1700th anniversary of the proclamation of Christianity as the state religion of Armenia, Pope John Paul and Catholicos Karakin II of the Armenian Apostolic Church jointly signed a common declaration in Armenia, affirming that the two churches have reached accord on Christological issues that had originally caused the separation of the churches back in the year 506. This opens us to the possibility of someday being reunited once again. Let us give thanks to God for that common faith we share with our brothers and sisters in the Armenian Apostolic Church, express our sorrow for that travesty that happened to their people at the beginning of the last century, and work together with them for the good of our society in proclaiming the love of God and the value and dignity of human life. Let us also pray for the day that we will have complete unity for the ever glory of God. God bless you all very, very much.
Seeing that again just reminded me of the pleasure and the joy of being at your church that evening, to hear Bishop's homily, and then to know how seriously he wanted to address the connection between our churches. So, Father Arshen, seeing it again for yourself, what further thoughts would you like to share about what Bishop tried and actually personified towards your community?
The most important thing, especially at a commemoration of a historical pain, is first of all, my recognition that the Armenian community needs to be healed of that pain. It has been a long, long process. We're not yet completely healed because of the denial. The bishops coming there in person as a non-Armenian who could identify the source of the pain and address, that address was his pastoral message to the entire community. But in his homily, he actually addressed the issue of pain and healing in Christ. And it helped many people to start maybe that personal process or the collective process of taking steps to be healed. For that, I am always going to be grateful to him.
Right now, we have to take our break, as we always do in the middle of our program, but please don't go far, because our guests will be back to share some more of their reflections on Bishop John. Stay tuned.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at knxt.tv to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Welcome back to the second half of our program today, in which some interfaith leaders are sharing their own personal reflections on Bishop John and the loss they're feeling. Imam, you did have a very personal and a professional connection with the bishop. Do you want to give us some insights into that, and maybe even sprinkle it with a little picture of a very beautiful moment?
Yes, it was really my pleasure to have a personal relationship with the late bishop. One of most powerful relationship we Muslims have is with the Catholic community here in the Valley and worldwide. And the first year I started my ministry at the Islamic Cultural Center, we offered the award to your channel, which was something we are pleased with the work you provide. And then we exchanged visits with the bishop. He visited our center. I think it was 2006 or two. Yes, around that day.
Around that time.
Yes, I think you have a picture of that.
We do.
That visit. Yes, that's you and me and the bishop and
Deacon Jesse, the chancellor.
Yes. The chancellor, yes. We exchanged many letters on different events and very inspiring. I have many of them here. I would like to quote one. He says in one, after the incident that happened in Fort Hood, again, this is a tragedy that affecting us on both sides. There is extremism and terrorism that we all fight, but there is the Islamophobia that comes with it. So he sent us a very inspiring letter. And now, as always, ministers of every religion are challenged to be instruments of peace in pursuing the values of their religion. So this is one of the examples that we share. And then one of his last messages was very powerful. As Father Arshen said, he is very sensitive to the pain and suffering of everyone, whether a worker on the farms, or the Armenian genocide that happened, or the Islamophobia that is actually promoted by some media, or some who the bishop said in his message, as you will hear, those who hijack the Christian faith. Exactly. So let us listen to his inspiring message if you have it ready.
We have that. Let's play Bishop's second to last pastoral message ever given on Channel 49 in October of this year, 2010.
The following is a pastoral message from Bishop John T. Steinbock, Bishop of the Diocese of Fresno.
My dear people of God, never have we heard so much venom and condemnation in political discourse. It is now condemning all Muslims as if they were all terrorists. This kind of talk leads people to division, hatred, and polarization with their very neighbors, leading the gullible to acts of terror themselves against our Muslim brothers and sisters. And this venom is coming from so-called respectable talk show hosts, TV personalities, and even political leaders. And even sadder, so many of these so-called personalities presume to speak about this in the name of God and the Christian faith. We hear that terrorists have hijacked the Muslim religion from the everyday Muslim. So those who condemn Muslims in general are trying to hijack the Christian religion from those who seek to truly follow the ways of Jesus. We all condemn terrorism. Pope Benedict, in his message for world peace in 2002, rightly tells us, quote, terrorism is often the outcome of that fanatic fundamentalism which springs from the conviction that one's own vision of the truth must be forced upon everyone else, unquote. He goes on to say that, quote, terrorism exploits not just people, it exploits God. It ends by making him an idol to be used for one's own purposes, unquote. Sad to say, this is being done by both Muslims and Christians. It is good to remember that Muslim terrorists kill more Muslims than non-Muslims. Muslim terrorists, or any terrorists, have no respect for life whatsoever and no respect for their religion, interpreting it to fuel its own hatred and its contempt for human life. Muslim terrorists and radical Muslims comprise a small minority of the Muslim population. Most Muslims, and there are more than 1 billion of them in this world, seek simply to follow their religion, give primacy to family values, and simply want to live in peace with all of those around them. Let us not fall into the trap of generalizing evil and condemning the innocent along with the guilty, something that is done so much in our society. There are some 5 million Muslims in America, most of whom are living as good Americans, just as you and me. True practicing Muslims are our brothers and sisters. We both believe in one God. We both believe in seeking always to fulfill the will of God. We both believe in helping the less fortunate. We both believe in strong family values and respect for human life. We both believe in the importance of prayer to our God. We both believe in living in peace with our neighbors. We both believe that we will be accountable after death for our actions here on earth. We have much more in common with our Muslim brothers and sisters than we have with those in our society who live with totally secularistic and materialistic values. Muslims, Christians, and Jews, we're all sons and daughters of Abraham, and we're all children of God, who call upon the same one God. We are truly brothers and sisters. If we are to have peace in this world, it is only working together in trust and friendship that it will be possible. God bless you all very, very much.
You know, sometimes things are impressive in their first hearing, and after a while they wear thin. And some things actually are stronger the more you sit and just listen to it again and read it again. I don't know, Imam, what more you'd want to say, but is there something to even add to what it is that Bishop accomplished through that pastoral message, the next to the last one he delivered here for the diocese?
Very powerful message. We are all inspired. The Muslim community, when they heard this message, very, very, very inspired. And you remember, through the last Ramadan, we were really under attack. This is what motivated the bishop to send this message. So this was a healing for the Muslim community. And you can see that he is a man of peace. He focused on what we share. Muslims and Catholic, we worship the same God. The emphasis on family values, the emphasis on a prayer. So a man of wisdoms. This is something that, this is why we say we lost a sincere ally, a brother actually to the Muslim community.
Bryan, I'm wondering from your perspective, who has been out there also so prophetically so many different times on so many social issues, and how it's very impressive the presence of the Unitarian Universalist community in town. What would be your own understanding of what Bishop accomplished or tried to do within a totally different framework that he is Roman Catholic Bishop of Fresno? How do you see him really accomplishing much more than that?
I was impressed as he talked about the Muslim community. He could have said nearly exactly the same thing about the Unitarian Universalist community or the Hindu community or the Buddhist community, because there is something that we understand. We understand that together we are human beings and we have different revelations and different experiences of the holy. But what we understand about the holy is that God is love. God is harmony. God is right relationship. God is ethical living in the world. God calls us to integrity and to caring and compassion. And so I was thinking his death is reminiscent of a Pentecost moment when we understand we're filled with the Spirit, but it comes out in different tongues, and we understand it. In that Pentecost story, the wonderful thing is that people understood in their own tongues. And so I resonated to the bishop always because I understood in the Unitarian Universalist language what he was talking about was the sacredness of all life, that spirit of life within us and in all the earth. Of course, we Unitarian Universalists speak of God as the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. And to understand that we are a tiny part of it, and to be humble in our place and to be instruments of love and healing in our place where we are, is all we can do. And he certainly filled that. And there are so many Roman Catholics in the Valley and in the United States. It's a very powerful position that he filled, and filled so well, so true to the Spirit of Christ.
Thank you, Bryan. Arshen, a final thought maybe reminding us of, even beyond the connection to your community, his presence for all.
Jim, we have heard the bishop on so many occasions address issues from war, conflict, prejudice, religious prejudice, ethnic prejudice, courageously. And the only way that I could look at him was that he did not use his Catholic faith or his position as bishop of the diocese as his perch, but as his anchor for action. And that enabled him to reach out to all segments of the community and it also gave him the courage to address issues that were unpopular, but it sprung out of his faith commitment that he should address the truth regardless of what it was.
Imam, 30 seconds, a final thought.
I think the Valley in general has lost a very powerful supporter. I have listened to many of his messages he used to give about the rights of immigrants. I was impressed when I was at the funeral ceremony there, which was crowded. You see thousands of people attend, that he visited workers on farms and villages. This is the true spirit of Jesus, that we celebrate his life today.
We have to close this program today, but we'll be back next week at the very same time with another panel who will be sharing from their own experiences, their own affection and love for our bishop, who reached out way beyond the Roman Catholic community. Till next time, God bless.